Isle of Sin, Part 2 for Alan Shea. Moas, Manx opposed to Alan Shea. Moas Manifesto 1991. Slightly revised. We, the Manx owe Alan Shea, a group of local people of the Isle of Man, do hereby demand that the Manx government, who are elected by the Manx people, immediately recognise that the Manx people wish for homosexuality to be made legal on our beautiful island. We therefore demand the following. 1. A national survey of the people of the Isle of Man regarding the homosexual is to be carried out on the island by an independent body such as Gallup to prove once and for all that Manx people want the law changed. 2. MHKs who choose to ignore the results of such a survey immediately resign. If they cannot represent the views of the people that have put them into office, then they should not be there. 3. Manx Radio and all the other media, including border television, to give Alan Shea more airtime or space in any column to promote his natural acts. 4. The Manx government is to mediate steps to move Alan Shea to ensure he is never allowed to turn. We also demand that these issues are carried out by the present Manx government before the November election. Moas, representing the voice of the Manx. Standing in his yard, looking like Liberace in a velvet jacket. Mel Cheetham clings to his pineapples and palms their stone column as if his whole masculinity depended upon them and his desire to birch homosexuals himself. Unnatural and utterly disgusting. Consider this obsession imbalanced, just as the spirit level cannot lie. Spending too much time, Prúchal Mac, those rough fellows, Shees Sared, that hardened gardener, Susa Cronk, backing him up with old Manx tongue. His detached house is covered in cracks, as if something underneath has slipped. Spending too much time searching out those rough fellows down the road, that hardened gardener up the hill, backing him up with old Manx tongue. Bona Vacantia, in memory of Frank Duggan and Dorothy Duggan, née Duggan. Frank and his sister, unlike any self-respecting Dorothy, were praying daily for buggery never to be legal, at least between men. The intoned teachings of their chaste God mean their earthly goods have no family to speak of. Young boys who can be so easily corrupted, one go and you're hooked. Which perhaps is why Frank grasps a hard-backed Bible in one hand, a fisting manual in his other, leaving feces-eating tips on his lips. The island is standing up to be counted, except the 6 gay men, falling like her latter rain mission. The Duggans, a parody of themselves, the fast show sketch with a stink of incest inside a caravan that was not allowed. pride and protest. I would birch homosexuals. Robin Oakes imported persecution from across. The striped legs of God's copper mince through our cottages. Wimps and perverts infect society further. Alan Bell's striped trousers speak up in the House of Keys, outing ignorance, bigotry and hypocrisy in awesome sight. Bomblaster's dirty, filthy buggery. Alan Shea's striped pyjama petition for redress. Plainclothes police jabbed their fingers. White-capped cadets hissed. The law should not be changed. Bishops of Sodor and Man prayed and voted as blood striped down their arms, hoping suicides will cleanse queer-stained souls. Pink and blue, blank sheet of paper, waiting for an informer's pink ink. Blue hounds, sniffed 21 queers, 3 days of home flushing in that 92 sting. We're going for a cigarette. When we come back, we want to list names, those known homosexuals, or never see your son again. 2 blue fingers point and tap, ringing the ears of their kin. Cells lit every hour. The rope got tight. A pavement spat. 1 car fumed. Blue came back with 2 fags dead in their own hands. A blank sheet left. Knock and pull. The marked police car pulled up at the 16th home on a weekend of raids after 4 months of peeping in those toilets of refuge. Secret cameras wreaked their vengeance. For most, a knock on the door was the end of the beginning. But this one was different. The bang in the attic came first. Someone had fallen, and just like that, the trigger had been pulled. Spy and tap. The Manx police were handsome short to enact their toilet entrapments. Though when I skeeted at the photo lineup of young police cadets in the 1980s, I remembered everything within beauty and truth is comparative. Those days when honey traps were inside jobs like the Beverley Sister Cops in 60s Earl's Court. Believe it or not, there was a pretty boy from Peel who the police knew for certain reasons, arrested in all of their cottage stings, but never charged for whatever purpose, kept to themselves. As if by magic, his full bladder went to Douglas and his face stayed at home. Any excuse You won't find him in there, says Alan Shea, as the policeman flips the freezer flap in the fridge. Looking, they say, for Irish escapee Mad Dog McGee, in such an unlikely haven, the home of a Manx gay rights campaigner with a telephone that clicks. When told to bend over backwards, he sighs a sigh, as they deem 2 noses enough just now. They comb his pubic hair like a mine-filled beach to declare it crab-free. And one could only wonder if they really were looking for Mad Dog McGee. Unabashed, the police park she's a treasure and accost every single man visiting that home on Domain Road. Maybe they confessed to PC Roberts they shared chips, cheese and gravy with Mad Dog McGee, or dug a tunnel behind the bread bin with shakes of their left trouser leg. Death and Debts after Camden's Britannica, 1586. An old Manx custom, when a creditor laid upon a grave towards heaven bare-breasted, protesting so executors would repay the unpaid sorrows of claims settled, with his back, with his face, with his Bible, clutched too tightly Lord's earthbound debts that stood, this ritual reclaims. Unlike dark-glassed police, our demands clenched, kneeling, not lying gay men who passed straight without prejudice, gods in lawful crimes, to squeeze apologies, facing self-filled tombs, that did not go to jail, to their grave, instead of freedom. And again, death and debts, an old Manx custom of claims settled, when a creditor laid with his back upon a grave, with his face towards heaven, with his Bible bare-breasted, clutched too tightly, protesting so Lord's earthbound executors would repay debts that stood, the unpaid sorrows this ritual reclaims. Unlike dark-glass police, gods in lawful crimes, our demands clenched to squeeze apologies, kneeling, not lying, facing self-filled tombs, gay men that did not go to jail, who passed straight to their grave, without prejudice, instead of freedom.